Okay, I'm coming to you live from iPad here. Actually, I'm not live. I've recorded this, but I was live when I recorded it, so I guess that counts. And I want to solve the problem x cubed minus 1 equals 0. Now, the way that I'm going to do that is, if you look over here on the right, I have printed out for you the formula that you use anytime you want to split up the difference between two cubes. So, in my problem, instead of a cubed and b cubed, I have x cubed and 1 cubed. So that means that the a in this formula is going to be taking the place of the x, or actually I should say the x is taking the place of the a, and the 1 is taking the place of the b. And I'm going to take this formula and I'm going to split up x cubed minus 1 by writing x minus 1. And then I have x squared minus, and then what I do is I take a times b. In this problem, that's going to be x and 1, so x times 1, which is x, and then plus b squared, which is 1 in this case. Oh, and by the way, one extra thing here, I made a little boo-boo. That should also be a plus. Okay? And so this equals 0. So the way that I factored this was just to use the formula on the right, and now I have factored my original problem. Okay? The next thing that I want to do with that then, I want to take that original problem and I want to split it up using the zero product property. And let me give myself a little more room to do that here. So I'll draw my little formula here. And that means I'm going to set x minus 1 equal to 0. And I'm going to set x squared plus x plus 1 equal to 0. And in the first problem, I add 1 to both sides. I get x equal 1. Now the second one is a little bit harder to do unless you recognize that it is quadratic. And when it's quadratic, I can use the quadratic formula to solve it. So I'm going to take these numbers here. This is going to be my a, this is going to be my b, and this is going to be my c. And I'm going to plug them into the quadratic formula at the left here, and I'll get my other two solutions. So my first solution was just x minus 1, and I'm going to get two more solutions here. So let's do that. So I have negative b, or in this problem, negative 1, plus or minus square root of b squared, which is 1 squared, minus 4 times a times c over 2a. And a, b, and c in this problem are all three of them 1. And then I just simplify. So I have negative 1 plus or minus square root of, well, I've got 1 minus 4, so that's going to be negative 3 over 2. And then I can factor a negative out of the square root. I guess you could call it factoring. And I do that by putting an I out in front. So I get plus or minus I root 3 over 2. And then our book would like our final answer to be in the form a plus bi. So I have to take this big ugly fraction and split it up into 2. And when I do that, I have negative 1/2 plus or minus square root of 3 over 2. And the I that I had right here, I'm going to move that right out in front. And that looks exactly like the answer that we were supposed to get right there. So my three answers are x equal 1 and x equal negative 1/2 plus or minus root 3 over 2i. These are two answers right here, and this one right here that I'm pointing at that you can't see me point at, but there it is. That's one answer. Here's the other two answers, and I hope you found this helpful.